everyone. Welcome to the Heartland Franchise Guy podcast, your insider's guide to franchises in the Heartland. I'm Blake Martin, local small business entrepreneur and your Heartland Franchise Guy. This is the place for education, resources, and advocacy for our local franchising field and for local entrepreneurs who are looking to learn more about the franchising field. Today is all about our guest, the Container Franchise Guy. If you need a container to recycle clothes, construction waste, or even number two, Mark's probably your guy, and you'll probably save your company money working with him. Welcome to Mark Fredrickson.
Thank you, Blake. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. You ever been introduced that way before?
I have not. That sounded very, I felt like I should have a bow or something.
I stayed up all night putting that one together.
Right on,
so
right
on. Listen, thanks for joining us today, Mark. Local entrepreneur, I would say side hustle expert, and owner of two different businesses that both involve containers and bins. Could you give us a quick, maybe 60-second on each business?
Absolutely. So, started off with the Clothes Bin franchise. It's a clothing and textile recycling franchise. 100% intended it to be a complete side hustle, like any business. They usually take a little more than a true side hustle, but it has been fulfilling. It's taken a while to get started, between slow times in the industry and the pandemic, and now things are kind of ramping back up. So it's starting to show some fruits of its labor now.
Nice.
But it's strictly clothing, textiles, shoes, handbags, that type of thing. We collect, we don't sort. We resell to large collectors that then further sort and distribute it to national thrift store chains or move it down the line to the recycling component.
Gotcha. So you don't charge people to recycle the stuff in your bins. You're making the money on sending it off to resellers.
Correct. And the other thing I like to point out about that business is we are not competing against the local thrift stores, charities, churches.
Oh.
By all means, if you want to donate to those organizations, great. Our goal is we're competing against the landfill. We want to provide convenient resources for people to keep these things out of their trash can. So I always like to point that out because I get that question, you're competing against my church, No, I'm not. No, I'm competing against the landfill. So
this is an environmental play. This is a green friendly business.
100% green. I do not, unfortunately, I'm not privy to where every piece of clothing or where every article ends up, but it's either resold, reused, recycled. Those are the 3 R's that we use in Clothes Bin. So if it can't be resold, it's passed down the line to a shredder, a recycler. There's just amazing. It's amazing the things they're doing with shredded denim and shredded shoes. And so, it's definitely a green effort. That was one thing that attracted me to it. Yeah.
Interesting. And people can find these bins around town?
Yes, we have 40 locations between Fremont, Omaha, Bellevue. We just picked up 7 more bins, so I'll be getting them out. Possibly Lincoln, try to get into that market. But, I don't have a map on my Facebook page, and I should. But we change these locations frequently due to inactivity or a seller of the property or whatnot.
Right.
So that can be tough to keep up on that.
But they're on somebody else's property, like on a commercial lot, maybe a street corner.
Yep, street corner, high visibility area, strip mall, gas station, libraries, schools.
So how do you know when to move these?
Obviously, we're not in the business of moving 500-pound bins, so we don't like to move them very often. But just if we find a new location, we always have a 30-day out with the owner. We always have an agreement. We're not just popping these things up. We want them in well-lit areas so that, there's no illegal dumping and whatnot. But we'll usually give them 3 to 6 months, depending upon, where it's at. Mm-hmm. If it hasn't caught on by 3-4 months, it's probably not gonna.
I see.
Therefore, It's not really doing us any good to have it at that location. And if it's a charity that we're giving back to, it's not really doing them any good either, because on a charity situation like that or a charity relationship, we'll give back a % per pound kickback. So every pound that's collected through that bin, we make a donation back to that charity or organization that is hosting the site.
Gotcha. So you'll put it in the church or synagogue parking lot.
Correct.
Interesting.
Those are the locations I really like to work with, because you're truly giving back to,
right,
versus just paying some gas.
You have
station.
some at schools, right?
We do.
School parking lots.
Fremont has been real receptive. The school district up there has been real receptive. They actually had to stop their paper recycling program because it was costing them money. That's what intrigued them about this. So now they're using the funds that they get from the clothing recycling to ramp back up their paper recycling.
Wow.
So actually was able to spur another recycling effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Okay. Mr. Container Recycling guy.
Right.
Green container guy. There we go.
Absolutely. And they are green. Right, green.
Figures.
So, yeah.
You got it all figured out. And you're wearing a green shirt today.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, I could talk about this one all day. Let's go on to the second business, though, too. It's not the only container business you have. You've also more recently owned started Redbox Plus.
Correct. And that's Redbox with the plus, not Redbox Movies. We get that confused a lot, too. And that was really just, that's something I want to develop into more of a full-time gig. I'm working full-time as a professional land surveyor. Some things happened in life, to get me back into that professional land surveying. I quickly found out that having been removed from the corporate world for a while, getting back into it, I tell my wife all the time, or I told her all the time, I said, if I have to continue doing this, you're going to get my life insurance quick. So it was just brutal. And not that I don't enjoy my profession, but having been removed from it for a while, I just feel like there's more out there for me. And I wanted to pursue something that I could call my own. You and I work together quite a bit. The one thing I did not want is a lot of employees. And the Red Box, when we were looking at that concept, that's about when COVID started. So not only are we looking at recession proof, now we're looking at pandemic proof.
Right.
And that really kind of fit both of those models along with, a low employee operating. Tell
me about the pandemic proof component of Redbox Plus. Who are your customers?
Contractors, commercial, but we do also do a lot of residential. So remodelers, roofers, remediation, hoarding cleanup. But during the pandemic, and I'm sorry, did you ask about recession or pandemic proof?
Well, they're one and the same. I was talking more about pandemic proof.
Okay, yeah. So during the pandemic, obviously, people were home. So that spurred a lot of projects that got put off. There was some different government kickbacks that were happening, so people had some extra money in their pockets. Sure. So everybody's doing, the projects, the bathroom remodels, the basement finishes, that type of thing.
Right.
So that really kept us busy.
But then, and explain, what exactly is the product? How is that relevant to home improvement projects that are going on? Sure.
So we operate roll-off containers. So they're large 20 and 30 yard roll-off containers. So it's the big ones that get rolled off the back of the truck. Back gate opens up. They're 22 foot long. So they accommodate a lot of trash and construction debris and whatever the project may entail.
Throw all your stuff in there.
Right.
Could be in somebody's driveway. Could obviously be on a construction site as well. Well,
Correct.
Has to be on a construction site, right?
Right. Correct.
Something has to be there.
Yep.
And what makes yours unique?
So that was one thing that really drew my interest to Redbox Plus, is they have a patent on a product. So we have standard roll-off containers, just like you'd see out there on any site, but we also have elite containers. And those containers come mounted. 2 porta potties are mounted to the front of the container. So it's all one system. The container or the porta potties are locked in place. They can't be blown over. They can't be tipped over. They can't be stolen, which I never would have in a million years thought that was a problem. But
wait, people steal porta potties?
People steal porta potties.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a contractor that rents a 20-yard Elite, very rarely dumps the container, but he will pay for it because he knows those porta potties are not going anywhere.
Because it's attached to a 2-ton container.
Exactly. So yeah, and there's a patent on that product. So it's not perfect for every situation, but for the roofing job, the 1 week remodel job, really any location that needs a roll-off container and a porta potty. Some job sites don't dictate the location where both of them can be in the same spot, but for the right situation, it kills two birds with one stone, and contractor can make one call.
Right. Yeah. If you're the contractor, or you're coordinating for the contractor, it's
right.
Yeah, one less set of headaches. Right. You got one supplier.
Yep.
So interesting. And then, so this is residential and commercial, red boxes. But one of the things that you were tying together there before I asked you to go off on the tangent of the actual product, both of them, you feel like both Clothesbin and Redbox Plus can scale with a small number of employees.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we run Clothesbin with myself and, just running the books and behind the scenes and the getting the contract or agreements, I guess, with owners. But otherwise, it's, one individual, have a kind of a part-time guy. Right now it's a personal trainer that he can go do this during the day, and he can do his personal training in the morning and at night, and gets him some extra hours during the day. So works out great. And then Red Box, we have one truck and 42 containers, and we're able to operate that. Right now, we're operating it with one individual, one driver, / operations manager. He's been spread pretty thin.
Yeah.
We've brought on a second driver and didn't have much luck keeping him for very long, but we could easily put on another driver and free Steve up a little bit to do probably
keep that second driver busy.
Yeah. But still, you're still only talking 2 employees.
Yeah.
And we're operating, a truck and 42 containers. So.
Right. That probably sounds very appealing to a lot of retail business owners.
Absolutely. I was just talking to...
Oh, darn, I got to have 3 employees.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that, because I was just talking to a prominent food franchisee in Omaha last night. And he actually looked at Redbox. It was kind of a cool conversation. But
Redbox Plus.
Redbox Plus. Thank you. Yeah. He said, "Oh my God, you can run that business with 2 people. I need 15 to run one of my restaurants.
Yeah.
So it
definitely a trade-off
for sure. Yep.
So, did you always know you're going to be an entrepreneur?
No. Never in a million. I mean, I've even when I was going to school, and I guess I should back up. As a kid, maybe I had it in my blood, because I was the kid that was delivering newspapers. I was a kid that had my dad build a cart for the back of my bike so I could run up and down the street dumpster diving for cans.
Dumpsters have always been a part of your life.
Right. Yeah, no kidding. I just can't get away from them. That's funny. Mowing yards. I guess probably fairly typical kid stuff, but, I was always doing something, I guess, to make a little extra money. My mom would incentivize me to sweep out the garage and do chores by offering, 50 cents here and there. So I guess. But, I went to school, got my associate's degree in land surveying, and went on to become professionally licensed in 3 states. But even at that, I was always intrigued by other opportunities. I remember I almost bought a dumpster company out of New York, just pull behind dump trailers years ago. I've always had, I feel like, what are good entrepreneurial ideas. There's old ex-lumber stores that I thought would be great for storage lots. And if you drive by them now, sure, that's what they are, is storage lots.
Yeah.
Different scooter locations my wife and I have looked at and just never pulled the trigger on, and now they're great locations. So
yeah, we've all had that.
Yeah. So I don't know that I ever had it in my mind that I was going to ever become, an entrepreneur and own my own business, but, things kind of evolved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I met you and start throwing ideas at me.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, right.
Now, you said in there that you're still in surveying. So, I mean, obviously these businesses for you in the owner's role are semi-passive. You said you had a plan that one of them, Redbox Plus, becomes more full-time. But
sure.
How do you juggle all this? Your dad, your husband, got a couple businesses, you got a job.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know sometimes.
That's a really honest answer.
Yeah, it is. It's day by day sometimes. But, I try to, as best I can, shut it off when I get home, especially when girls have events and things like that. But the good thing about, I guess, Clothesbin is it's probably fairly semi-absentee, so it doesn't take a lot of input unless I have to go out and do the work. And then Redbox, I guess I still feel like I'm feeling that out because I know at times I feel like a bad business owner because I'm probably not as engaged as I feel like I should be to own.
Every business owner feels like that some days.
Yeah.
Like 10 times a day.
Right. So I try not to beat myself up too bad because when I talk to other people, they're like, oh my God, yeah, I feel the same way. So you always feel like you could be or should be doing more, I guess, as a business owner. But
fair enough.
Yeah, and then working full time, it eats up a good part of the day. But you just have to work around it as best you can and
be a good time manager.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I must be doing all right. I never considered myself a good time manager, but I must be doing all right.
Speaking of that, thanks for the segue. I think we got time for about one more question. I really wanted to ask you, you've been through a lot as far as your entrepreneurial pursuits and going into it and then back into the corporate world and realizing, no, got to stay in entrepreneurship. Any advice you would give to folks that are thinking about starting a side hustle?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of cliche and easy to say, but honestly, man, just go for it because there's never going to be a perfect time. God, what's the analogy? But you can think too much. I'm a horrible overthinker, so it was really tough for me. But, like I said, it's kind of, and ask for help. Ask for help. By all means, there's so many. That's one thing that deterred me from a lot of opportunities is I felt like I had to know it all, do it all, have it all, and no one person can. So reach out to, the Blake Martins of the world. Reach out to mentors. This gentleman I met last night, very prominent individual in the franchising world, and I just linked in. I just messaged him. I said, "Hey, could we meet? I'd love to talk to you." So, and great guy, will help. We'll take the shirt off his back. He said, "Anytime you need something." So, I mean, you've really got to reach out and use those resources. And it's scary, but people are people. We're all human, and everybody. Human nature. You want to help. So, definitely, that would be my biggest piece of advice, I think.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Very real advice.
For sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
One more thing. How can people get a hold of your businesses?
So Clothesbin, we got a Facebook page. Definitely reach out. That's probably the easiest way. If you have any questions on locations or what can be donated, that type of thing, or what we do with the product. So it's just Clothesbin Omaha. There's our Facebook page.
Okay.
And then Redbox Plus is redboxplus.com/Omaha.
So that's Redbox, the word plus, so redboxplus.com.
Correct. Yep. Okay. The word plus. Yep. Or you can call us at 402-205-3105.
Gotcha. And one more time, Clothesbin is like clothespin, but there's a B, not a P.
Correct.
Right? So it's that spelling of clothes.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
We nailed them both.
Right. For sure.
Mark, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing authentically your real experience of some really unique franchise concepts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you. And thank all of you for listening to another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy. My name is Blake Martin. I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you on another podcast here soon.
A Hurrdat Media Production.